What's going on, everyone? Today we've got a brand new tactic, one that I did last year and the year prior, and we have a new version of it this year. It is my 3-4-1-2 version of the Thor's hammer. Now, if y'all would like to download this tactic, I'll be linking my Discord down below in the description. That is where you're going to be able to download the tactic from the download section of the Discord. But now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So today's tactic I ended up testing with Bayer Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid, as it allows me to kind of have everything that I need in order to test this tactic the way I wanted to test it, because I opted for a 3 and a 4 instead of that 5 in the back, pushing up the defense midfielders and central midfielders like I have done with this tactic in the past. And Bayer Leverkusen actually fit this system perfectly, because as we can see on screen right now, they ended up winning the league on 83 points. They were runners-up in the Europa League. The only reason why they were runners-up in the Europa League was because there were some major heavy hitters that dropped down from the Champions League, like Bayern Munich, like Barcelona, and the eventual winners who they lost to, Napoli. And then they were also runners-up in the DFB Pokal, but that did not stop them from almost winning the treble and having an absolutely fantastic season. When it comes to Atletico Madrid, they were no different. They did absolutely fantastic as well, as they won the league as well, just like Bayer Leverkusen. They got knocked out in the round of 16 by Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, though. They won the Copa del Rey, and they were runners-up in the Supercopa de España. Now, one thing that I wanted to kind of focus on with this tactic was making sure that the strikers were a major threat in this system, and they most certainly are, as well as the number 10. With Bayer Leverkusen, all three of those players that lacked in those positions led the team in scoring. We had Victor Boniface with 28, Patrick Schick with 22, and Florian Wirtz with 19. Grimaldo, who was one of the wingbacks, even had 10, and Ezequiel Palacios, who was one of the defensive midfielders, had 10. When it comes to assists, those wingbacks playing the width are going to be vital to those goal-scoring opportunities, and Jeremy Frimpong and Alex Grimaldo did not disappoint. Frimpong had 23 assists, Grimaldo with 21, and Florian Wirtz had 16, with Xhaka with 11 and Schick with 10. And when we look at Atletico Madrid, the story is exactly the same. The front three of the two strikers in the number 10 led the team in goals. Alvaro Morata at 26, Antoine Griezmann, he was the number 10, he had 23. Memphis Depay, he was the other striker, he had 19. With Angel Correa, who was a substitute, he actually had 11, and Koke, who was one of the defensive midfielders, he had 10. And when it comes to the assists, Thomas Lemar and Nahuel Molina were in the top 3 for assists. They were the wingbacks. Thomas Lemar at 18, Molina with 15. Koke, though, as one of those defensive midfielders, not only did he have 10 goals, he also had 16 assists. Marcus Llorente was the other defensive midfielder. He had 10 assists as well, and Antoine Griezmann, as at number 10, also had 10 assists. So, how does this tactic set up? Well, we're going to take a look at that right now. So the game will classify it as a 5-2-on-2, however, I see it as a 3-4-1-2, and that is what I titled it as well. It features 2 advanced forwards up top with an advanced playmaker. You got 2 segundo volantes, which we'll get into why one is further up than the other in a moment. We got 2 wingbacks and a flat back 3 of ball-playing defenders with a sweeper keeper. So, like I just said, we got one segundo volante a little bit further forward than the other. That is because one is on attack, one is on support. The one on attack is a little bit further forward than the one on support. That's not the only role that does that as well. The wingback on the left side is on support, and the wingback on the right side is on attack. So, in build-up, how will this work? Because on an attack duty, it's a lot more aggressive than on a support duty. And we have 2 different areas of the tactic that are going to operate like that. One of them is going to be more aggressive than the other. So the strikers end up pushing up into the box. The advanced playmaker will either stay on the edge of the box or work himself into the box as well. The segundo volante on attack is going to push up way further than the segundo volante on support. The segundo volante on support can push up into the box, obviously, if they see a run and an opportunity arise for them, but they will be sagging off a little bit more than the segundo volante on attack would. Same thing goes for these wingbacks. The wingback on support is going to be a little bit deeper than the wingback on attack. The wingback on attack is going to cross from the byline, whereas the wingback on support is not. They obviously can though if they find the opportunity to do so. It's just majority of the time that wingback on attack is going to get way further forward than the one on support. Then we also see the ball playing defenders come up as well. And this basically makes what I like to call a force field in your opponent's half. Because when they're spread out a tiny bit like this, which you'll see that happen quite often, it is going to be really hard for your opponent to get out of their own half because basically your side will have every area of the pitch covered. And what I love about this is look at all the area for not only the strikers, but the number 10 and the segundo volantes to run into within the opponent's box. There is plenty of it, plenty of space to exploit. And just like some of my other tactics that implement ball playing defenders, you might see a ball playing defender make a run or two into the box to try and score a goal as well. Which in those scenarios, when that does happen, you'll see like a segundo volante drop off and that ball playing defender move up. But now we're going to go over kind of the overhead view of how this tactic operates within FM24. The first game we're going to be taking a look at and analyzing is Bayer Leverkusen playing against Bayern Munich in a Bundesliga match where they end up beating Bayern Munich by a score of 4-0. In these highlights, make sure to key in on these strikers, as you will see what I mean by I wanted to kind of have an emphasis on having the strikers be a major part of this tactic and the success that it has, because they show up big time in this match, especially the man Victor Boniface. So as we can see from those highlights, the way that the strikers play are kind of vital to the success of this tactic, because the first goal scored by Victor Boniface, we saw him receive the ball in one of those wider positions. He then cuts back inside and goes for goal. Obviously gets the first of his 3 that he had in that game. The second goal, we saw Patrick Schick move out wide to receive a ball from Josip Stanisic. He then whips the ball in centrally to Victor Boniface, who finishes off his second. And on that fourth and final goal, we saw how having one of the segundo volantes or the wingbacks go out wide, whip that ball in centrally to one of the 2 strikers is going to bag you loads of goals. So if you have some strikers with some height, some pace, and strength, they're going to be absolutely lethal in a system like this. Now for this next match, it will be Bayer Leverkusen taking on FC Barcelona in the quarterfinal of the Europa League, where they end up beating them 2-0. And what I want to highlight here is, once again, the playmaking ability from those wingbacks and the segundo volantes, but also Jeremy Pong is going to get himself a goal in this game, and I want you to make sure that you keep an eye on him with how aggressive he is as that wingback on attack. Because if you have someone that is lethal as a wingback in the finishing department, like a Jeremy Pong, they're going to be very important to your success with this system. As we can see there, Pong is highly aggressive, and there is one thing that I do want to kind of go a little bit more in depth on with that highlight really quickly for you all. So I have it paused currently right here before we are about to win back possession. What I want you to notice is still how high up the pitch Pong is compared to Grimaldo. Grimaldo is number 20 right here. He is now back within our own half. Pong is still all the way up here. Grimaldo is that wingback on support. Pong is the wingback on attack. He is fairly aggressive throughout this whole highlight. He is making sure that he is a part of the attack the entire time, because right here we are going to win this ball back, and then we move it off the Boniface, and he obviously scores from outside the box like you're about to see once again. Which even once we finish off that attacking move, you can still see that Pong number 30 is much higher than number 20, Mr. Grimaldo, all the way back on the left. So if you have a Frimpong, or kind of like I like to use Juan Cuadrado as an example as well. If you have a wingback like them, they're going to be perfect for that role. Now this next match is Atletico Madrid this time. They're playing Athletic Bilbao, and both wingbacks actually contribute with goals in this match, and 2 goals from the number 10, which is Antoine Griezmann, so make sure to focus in on those roles. So not only do those roles, the number 10 with the advanced playmaker on attack, and the wingbacks, one of them being on support, one on attack, not only do they supply a lot of creativity, but they also can contribute big time when it comes to scoring goals, especially if you have the right players there. And Mr. Jose Maria Jimenez, who is one of those ball-playing defenders, we saw him turn playmaker twice within those highlights as well. He is absolutely fantastic, not only as a ball-playing defender, but that role in particular is very, very good this year. So definitely make sure to utilize it. Now this final game of highlights is just a game where Atletico Madrid absolutely dominated within league play. Against Getafe, they end up beating them 7-1, so just enjoy how this tactic looks within the 3D match engine. So, as we've seen those highlights, the attacking ability within this tactic is absolutely fantastic, as it did allow Alvaro Morata, of all people, to have a 4-goal game, which is pretty impressive. Not everyone can do that. So if you're looking for a tactic that is going to let you have a pretty balanced experience with your side, with not conceding a whole lot of goals, but also being able to score goals at will, especially when you have the right players for the system, this is definitely the tactic for you. Let's go ahead and get into breaking it down with all the player instructions within FM now. So when it comes to downloading the tactic from the download section, you'll be looking for Gormy's 3412 Thor's Hammer. That is the name of the file. We've got 2 advanced forwards on attack up top with an advanced playmaker on attack. We then have a wingback on support, wingback on attack, a segundo volante on attack, a segundo volante on support, a flat back 3 of ball-playing defenders on defend, and a sweep keeper on defend. Both advanced forwards on attack were left as is. The advanced playmaker on attack has crosses aimed at center, move into channels and tackle harder. The segundo volante on attack has move into channels and tackle harder. The segundo volante on support has move into channels and tackle harder. The wingback on support has cross more often, crosses aimed at center and tackle harder. The wingback on attack, even though on the attack duty, has cross more often, crosses aimed at center and tackle harder, just like the wingback on support. The ball-playing defenders outside of that central ball-playing defender both have stay wider. The central ball-playing defender on defend does not have anything added, and the sweep keeper on defend was also left as is. This tactic is played with an attacking mentality, especially for those sides that are mid-table or elite level sides. You're going to want to go attacking. However, if you are a newly promoted side, definitely feel free to go balance. This will still work pretty well. Now, when we're in possession, we have fairly narrow attacking width. We play out from the defense. We work the ball into the box, use low crosses in the final third, standard passing directness, and slightly higher tempo. When in transition, we counter press and counter, and we distribute to the fullbacks and center backs. And when out of possession, with defensive shape, we have a high press line of engagement, higher defensive line, and more often trigger press. Now with this tactic, I do believe it can be used with just about anyone. However, if you are a newly promoted side or a side that is kind of struggling to get the most out of your side, yet you want to use a system like this, there are some tweaks that I would make to it. We're going to get into that right now. So if you're a newly promoted side or you're struggling in whatever league you may be in and you are wanting to use a system like this, you're going to take that segundo volante on attack as well as the wingback on attack. You're going to change them to support duties. Have the same instructions, but just put them on the support duties. You will also, instead of be on the attacking mentality, switch it to the balanced mentality. And then when in possession, you're going to put on underlap left and underlap right. You're going to look for those underlaps from the segundo volantes on support at that point. They'll be arriving late, giving you more opportunities from those roles, because instead of having one on attack, you are going to want to make sure that you are actively looking for those underlaps pretty often. But there we have it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys want to give this tactic a go, once again, I'll be linking my Discord down below in the description. That is where you are going to be able to download it from, once again, within the download section of the Discord. And if you did happen to enjoy today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button. Right now on screen, I'll be popping up my most recent tactic video for you all, which is a 4-3-3 utilizing 3 defense midfielders. Very overpowered, very fun to use as well. So if you wish to check that out, it's on screen for you right now. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.